Hamilton stares at the Montreal circuit layout on his tablet, and for the first time in his legendary career, dread fills his thoughts instead of excitement. No anticipation, no hunger, just the hollow realization that his Ferrari gamble might be the biggest miscalculation of his career. The SF-25 has been described as no upgrade on his recent Mercedes cars, retaining a problematic trait that makes it really difficult to drive. The man who conquered Montreal 7 times before now faces the terrifying prospect of struggling around a circuit where he once reigned supreme, trapped inside a red machine that feels more like a cage than a weapon. But the upcoming weekend represents something far more devastating than mechanical struggles. It will expose the deep fractures running through Ferrari's foundation for the world to see. As Montreal approaches, the weight of what this weekend could reveal suddenly feels unbearable. The dream of red glory is suffocating under the reality of political warfare. And the worst part, Montreal will only be the beginning of Ferrari's civil war. 3 weeks before Montreal, behind the closed doors of Maranello, Hamilton delivered the words that would split Ferrari in two. Hamilton reportedly pushed Ferrari to abandon 2025 development in favor of 2026 focus, essentially declaring their current championship hopes dead. The room fell silent. For months, Hamilton had bitten his tongue as the team chased phantom improvements, but watching Leclerc snatch podiums while he battled for scraps had finally pushed him over the edge. His message was brutally clear: stop wasting time on a car that cannot win and start building for the future. But Fred Vasseur saw this as more than technical feedback. He saw it as surrender, and Ferrari does not surrender. Within days, the team made a decision that would poison their relationship with their most expensive signing. They accelerated development plans, rushing upgrades to Montreal that were never meant to be ready. Ferrari rushed through the development of the updated rear suspension they took to Montreal, originally slated for Silverstone. The message to Hamilton was unmistakable: we will prove you wrong, even if it destroys us. But Hamilton knew something his team refused to accept. They were fighting a war they had already lost, and Montreal would be where that truth would finally be exposed for everyone to see. 9 races into the season, Hamilton's integration with the team and the SF-25 car has been fraught with challenges, with the Britain's win in last March's Chinese Grand Prix sprint event a rare bright spot. While Leclerc thrives with 3 podiums and growing confidence, Hamilton finds himself trapped in a nightmare he cannot escape. The irony cuts deep. He left Mercedes to avoid exactly this situation, yet here he stands, fighting the same demons in different colours. Hamilton has struggled with a lack of rear-end stability on corner entry, which forces him into an understeering mid-corner phase as he tries to lighten the front end to better sense the car. The man who once made the impossible look effortless now admits he is struggling to feel the car underneath him. But the technical problems are only half the story. Inside Ferrari, a dangerous narrative has taken hold, that Hamilton's complaints are symptoms of weakness rather than warnings of deeper flaws. While Leclerc appears confident and in control both on and off track, comparisons with Hamilton have become unavoidable. Each weekend that passes without Hamilton finding his rhythm only strengthens Leclerc's position as Ferrari's chosen son. And as Montreal approaches, Hamilton faces a terrifying reality. He is not just fighting for race wins, he is fighting for his reputation, his legacy, and his very survival within the team he sacrificed everything to join. The truth about Ferrari's Montreal upgrades tells a story that no press release will ever reveal. The Scuderia's engineers made the Red Bull Ring their most likely destination to run the new parts, but mounting pressure accelerated the timeline. The decision was never about performance, it was about pride, politics, and proving a point. Senior engineers, some with decades at Maranello, privately questioned the wisdom of rushing unvalidated components to one of Formula One's most demanding circuits. But their voices were drowned out by the political necessity of showing Hamilton that Ferrari would not bow to his demands for surrender. The rushed rear suspension and floor modifications arrived in Montreal carrying more than technical hopes. They carried the weight of Ferrari's identity crisis. Were they a team willing to face harsh realities and build for tomorrow? Or would they cling to impossible dreams and sacrifice their future for present-day pride? Internal projections suggest that if the revised rear suspension does not tame the SF-25's unpredictable balance, Ferrari will likely pull the plug on further 2025 development. Hamilton understood this calculation perfectly. Montreal was not just another race. It would be Ferrari's final examination of their own denial. And deep down, everyone knew the grades would be devastating. Tensions within the team came to light during recent races, as Lewis Hamilton grew increasingly frustrated with Ferrari's strategic decisions, with radio exchanges revealing apparent strain between Hamilton and his race engineer. What started as technical disagreements has evolved into something far more dangerous, a breakdown in trust that threatens to poison everything Ferrari hoped to achieve. After crossing the line in Monaco, Hamilton was heard asking his race engineer, "Are you upset with me or something?" to which he appeared to receive no answer. While Vasseur attempts to downplay these incidents as normal pressure responses, the pattern is unmistakable. Hamilton is isolated, frustrated, and increasingly convinced that his new team either cannot or will not provide him with the tools to succeed. Meanwhile, Leclerc continues to extract performance from the same machinery, his comfort with Ferrari's approach serving as a constant reminder of Hamilton's struggles. The Monegasque driver is enjoying one of his most consistent seasons yet, appearing confident and in control, both on and off track. The contrast is stark and damaging. Every weekend that Hamilton fights the SF-25 while Leclerc finds speed reinforces the growing belief within Ferrari that perhaps their seven-time champion is no longer the driver he once was. But Hamilton knows the truth. He is not slower, he is simply unwilling to accept a car that demands compromise over precision. And that philosophical difference threatens to tear Ferrari apart from within. As Ferrari prepares for Montreal, Vasseur has urged the team to stay humble, expressing concerns about the unpredictable nature of the current situation. But his words mask a deeper anxiety, the growing realization that Ferrari's Montreal gamble is about to be tested under the most unforgiving spotlight. The rushed upgrades will deliver exactly what Hamilton predicted: marginal gains that solve nothing while consuming precious resources that could have been invested in next year's championship hopes. Hamilton remains the most successful driver in Canadian Grand Prix history with 7 victories, but his dominance at Montreal is about to be put to the ultimate test in a car that seems designed to punish his every instinct. The symbolism will be crushing. At a circuit where Hamilton once reigned supreme, he now prepares to battle for rhythm in a machine that fights him at every corner. The technical data heading into Montreal tells a story that Ferrari cannot spin or ignore. The SF-25's fundamental flaws remain unchanged, and every weekend spent chasing false hope is another step backward in the development race that will determine their 2026 prospects. But the real damage goes deeper than lap times and championship points. Montreal will crystallize the toxic dynamic that now defines Ferrari's internal relationships. Hamilton's technical honesty is viewed as disloyalty. Leclerc's adaptation is celebrated, while Hamilton's struggles are questioned. And Vasseur finds himself managing not a team united in pursuit of excellence, but 2 camps preparing for war on one of Formula One's most demanding stages. As the Montreal weekend approaches, Ferrari faces a moment of truth that will define their next decade. Internal projections suggest that if the revised rear suspension does not tame the SF-25's unpredictable balance, Ferrari will likely pull the plug on further 2025 development. The numbers do not lie. McLaren's championship lead has grown to an insurmountable gap, and every resource spent chasing 2025 glory is stolen from 2026 preparation. Hamilton's original assessment, dismissed as defeatist pessimism, is about to be tested against Montreal's unforgiving reality. The man who sacrificed his Mercedes legacy to join Ferrari finds himself in the impossible position of potentially being proven right for all the wrong reasons. His technical feedback was sound, his strategic thinking was correct, but his timing was politically catastrophic. By demanding reality when Ferrari needed hope, Hamilton positioned himself as the enemy of their collective delusion. While Hamilton prepares for what could be his defining weekend, comparisons with Charles Leclerc loom larger than ever. The irony is suffocating. Hamilton came to Ferrari to escape the political games that had defined his final Mercedes years, only to discover that Maranello's politics are far more complex and unforgiving. Montreal will not just test Ferrari's technical solutions. It will reveal the fundamental incompatibility between Hamilton's direct approach and Ferrari's traditional resistance to uncomfortable truths. And as both sides prepare for battle, the dream of Red Redemption threatens to transform into a nightmare of mutual destruction. The data heading into Montreal paints a picture that even Ferrari's most optimistic projections cannot beautify. Hamilton's hopes for adding to his 7 wins or 6 poles at the Canadian Grand Prix face their greatest test yet, as another potential setback looms in a season already filled with challenges. For a driver who built his reputation on transforming impossible situations into championship glory, the SF-25 represents his greatest challenge yet. A machine that seems designed to neutralize every advantage that made him legendary. The psychological toll is visible in every radio message, every frustrated gesture, every forced smile during media obligations. Hamilton knows he is fighting against time, against physics, and against a team culture that views his directness as betrayal rather than leadership. But perhaps the most devastating realization is that his Ferrari dream may have come too late. Not because he lacks speed or hunger, but because the team he idolized as a child has become politically incapable of accepting the radical changes necessary for future success. Ferrari's support through Vasseur reflects their long-term belief in the partnership, but the team and its fans will be hoping for visible progress soon. As Montreal looms on the horizon, Hamilton prepares for 18 months of racing for a team caught between past glory and future potential, where every weekend becomes another test of whether legendary talent can overcome institutional inertia. The question is no longer whether Hamilton can adapt to Ferrari, it is whether Ferrari can evolve fast enough to deserve a driver of his caliber. And as Montreal approaches with the championship fight already moving beyond their reach, that answer is about to become increasingly clear and potentially increasingly heartbreaking.